Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be playing with the Spellbinders BetterPress LetterPress registration plates. If you are not familiar with the BetterPress LetterPress system, I will link a couple videos up in the top corner and also down below in the video description. I don't know why it has taken me so long to play with these plates because the registration plates really allow you to customize the colors on your card front with the letterpress plates. We're pretty much taking our cards and really stepping them up a notch. The two plates that I have on my screen right now is the Thank You Blooms, which I will be working with today, and the Blooming Garden. I'm ashamed to say I've had these in my collection for quite a while. I know they were released back in, I think, January, and I just hadn't had a chance to play with it yet. So I already have it in my packaging, how I store everything. Here is an example of what it's going to look like. And then in the packaging, you're also going to get this template. Now, mine is on paper because I received kind of these samples, but what you'll get is a piece of acetate. So you'll be able to see down through the template. On that template is an outline so you can see how the thank you is going to match up, and it's going to allow you to do the sentiment, the flowers, and the leaves in different colors. The same holds true for the blooming garden. Now, I didn't use this one today because I kind of got carried away on the first one. I did 3 cards, but this one is very similar where you're going to be able to create multiple colors on one card front. Before I get started doing that, I want to create some backgrounds. One of my favorite things to do with the letterpress is creating these kind of watercolor-ish backgrounds. I'm going to be using my Distress Oxide inks today in Saltwater Taffy and Squeezed Lemonade. I have a media mat placed down on my glass work surface because I like the way the Oxide inks bead up on this, and it just creates a more kind of watercolor wash of a background. So I'm squishing down some of that saltwater taffy and the squeezed lemonade, and then I'm going to spray that with a water mister. I'm also taking a cotton card panel, this is in porcelain, and I'm going to spray that a little bit with the water as well, and then drag this through the colors. When I drag it through the colors, I really try and shift it because I want to get those two colors to kind of mix and combine. So for this panel, I'm really going for a wash of color, so I don't really need the beading at this point. I did pick up some dog hair because my dog is in a serious shedding mode right now. I wiped that away and then just dipped it again. Now I'm going to create one more panel using those same colors, starting with the squeezed lemonade in the center and then coming around it with the saltwater taffy. Now for this background, I'm going to be grabbing one of the larger size panels, and I think this one is about 5 by 7. So again, I wet it with my mister bottle and the cardstock. This is a wet on wet technique, and I'm going to drag that through the ink that is smushed down on my work surface. And this is such a beautiful wash of color, and I still have a lot of ink still on the work surface. So what I'll do is I'm going to dry my panel with a heat tool, and then I'm going to dip this back into that ink that is on my mat. And what'll happen is I'm going to get a very distressed look, I guess. If you want to keep it that simple wash, you can, but sometimes I like to have that little bit of subtle texture in the background. So then I will bring in both panels. You're going to see what I do with these in just a moment. I'm going to start the letterpress with just a plain piece of the cardstock. So I'm still using the BetterPress cotton card panel, and I need to trim out my template. Again, this is a paper one. You will get an acetate piece in yours, but I'm trimming along that green line. If you do ever happen to lose your acetate, you can go to the Spellbinders website and print out the paper template. Then I'm going to take that template and I'm going to place it within the A2 grid lines on my, I'm just going to call it a platform. So this is really like putting together a puzzle, so to speak. I'm starting with the leaves and I found the matching piece of the plate to go with the matching piece on the template. Once I line that up within those lines, I can grab the other piece down below here in the right-hand corner and line up that as well. Spellbinders has quite a few of the BetterPress inks, and the only green that I have is this leaf, but I wanted more of an olive green, so I brought in Swamp Green from Altenew. So if you don't have the BetterPress inks from Spellbinders, you can always take a look in your stash, experiment with it, try it out. I have had some great success with the Altenew inks. To apply the ink, I am pressing down lightly and doing kind of a twist and push method. I guess I would say twist and turn, twist and push. You need to be sure that your template or your, well, template and your plates are not shifting. Now, over on the top plate, I'm going to hold that down with a little bit of the Best Ever Craft tape, taping it down in the corners. I've seen a few variations of this. Some people roll up tape and put it behind the panel. I personally like to just hold the corners down. In each corner of this top plate and on that platform are little magnetic pieces, so that's what's going to grip our plate. Then I can take this whole thing over to my Platinum 6 die cut machine and run that through. And what that's doing is pressing the design into the paper, or I guess the paper into the design. Then when I pull up the plate, I have this gorgeous letterpress in here for the leaves. Now this is going to look kind of funky at first because we only have part of a design. I'm holding the template down on that work surface or on that platform and just kind of scooting off these plates. I'll clean them later, but I'm going to bring in another set of plates, and these are going to do the flowers. So just pick a flower. Again, if you need to reference that kind of cover piece to see which flowers they are, you can. I'm just going to look at it like a puzzle, place those within those pre-printed grid lines. Again, I want to make sure I'm not shifting everything because I need this to all kind of stay in place in order for it to match up. I thought about taping my template down to that platform. I didn't try it. I'll have to experiment with that later to make sure it doesn't move. There are two groupings of flowers in this particular set. And so this first grouping of flowers, I'm bringing in Garnet. Now this is a BetterPress ink that Spellbinders provides. And I gotta say, it is a gorgeous color. It's kind of like a mauve. So it's pink, but not really in your face kind of pink. So I inked that up, put my plate on top, ran that through my Platinum 6 die cut machine. And then when I pull up that plate, you can see how this is starting to come together. So it's going to frame our sentiment. Absolutely gorgeous. Again, I'm going to hold my template down with my hand a little bit here so it doesn't shift and slide those plates off, and then I can bring in the other set of flowers. So these are just some smaller ones to frame our sentiment. This one, I'm going to come in with a yellow, and this one is Tuscan. It's a very, I guess I'd say honey colored flower or color, and I really love this color combination. Put my top plate on, run that through, lift this up, and now I have this beautiful floral arrangement that's going to go around the sentiment. The sentiment is going to be thank you, so I can place that within those registration lines. This one I'm just going to do in a black ink, which is really going to pop off of my background. Now, I will say that I do prefer inking up this particular design with these smaller ink pads. I find I just don't get as much um, ink all over the place. You can see that I had some green on there because that ink pad was a little bigger. I do prefer the smaller ink pads. And here now we have an absolutely amazing card front. So I'm going to carefully peel up that Best Ever Craft tape. I'm going to bring this closer to the screen, but really the beauty of it is truly in person. The touch and feel of it, how this design is pressed into those panels, it's just amazing. Now I'm going to bring in my watercolor backgrounds that I did with the Distress Oxide inks. I'm going to do this the exact same way with the exact same colors. This is the A2 size panel, so it's 4¼ by 5½. I left everything in place on that platform, and since my sentiment is already there, I'm just going to go ahead and ink that up. Now, a lot of this I'm going to give you the reveal of because you already saw me walk through these steps, but it's going to be so good on this watercolor background. And I think one of the things I really like about it, and maybe it's because the background is so light, is that I'm not getting a different color with those inks. Sometimes when you stamp on top of a colored background, you get a different color or it's not quite what you wanted. But this, it's just totally true to it. And plus, I tried to match the colors of the background with the inks that I was planning on using. Now this is the larger background. So this is maybe about a 5×7, but it's the larger panel. I will have these linked down below in the video description. And I decided to change up my leaves. I wanted to try a teal color. So I am just wiping those leaves down with a towel, and then I'm going to come in and ink it up with teal topaz. Just make sure if you're cleaning your plates while they're on that template that you, like I show here, just kind of move it a little bit so that you're inside of those lines that are on that template. And when I reveal this, I'll be honest here, I wasn't sure if I was going to like this. It looks very odd to me to have that teal color on that background. But as I went through the entire design and then put on the sentiment, it really all tied in together nicely. And it was a really fun change up to use teal instead of a regular green for the leaves. Now, one thing to note is that I did leave all the shims on my platform or underneath that gray mat that's there. I left all three of them in there. When I was putting things away, I noticed I had quite the impression of my design on my top platform plate. So I'm wondering if maybe I could have taken one of the shims out so it wasn't so it didn't leave such a strong impression. So here are all three of the backgrounds that I did, all the same design, one change up of the color, and I absolutely love them. This type of system is just, it's amazing, and it's actually very, very satisfying. Now you're going to notice here that first one I did on plain white cardstock, I had a little smudge in there, or it looked like I had maybe a string of the ink pad in there. I tried to remove it. I tried to cover it up with a white gel pen. That wasn't working, so that's where an embellishment's going to go. To finish off these cards, I really had thought about die cutting the panels out with maybe some different shaped dies. In the end, I decided to leave them as is. I just did not have the heart to cut these down. So to place these on my side folding card bases, I am using some double-sided adhesive sheets because with the watercolor background, and also because I think I had almost too much pressure, there was a little bit of bending to it, a little bit of warping. So by using the double-sided adhesive sheets, it's really going to secure the entire panel down to the front of the card. So I did that for all of these card fronts. And then my smaller ones, these are all A2 size side folding card bases made from heavyweight white cardstock. I just removed the backing of the double-sided adhesive and placed that over the top. And these are perfect, clean and simple, really one layer cards, even though we kind of made multiple passes to create that background. But they are just absolutely beautiful. I needed to bring in some gems or some embellishments to hide that little smudge I had in there. So I am using my clear quartz sequins from Gina K Designs. I like to put mine in a little pinch bowl here and kind of start picking them out, placing them around my card. Once I'm happy with placement, that's when I come in with my liquid glue and start attaching them with my pick and stick tool. Then I can just take them and pour them back into the container that I hold those gems. And then here's a final look at all of the cards I created. So I normally don't make 5x7 cards, but boy, that came out pretty darn cool for being that center focal point with your sentiment, and then having all that extra room with the colorful background. These registration plates really take the BetterPress system up a notch. If you are looking to step up your game, this is definitely the way to go. I didn't think it was possible, but Spellbinders pulled it off. And don't forget, you can also use your Glimmer Hot foil system with the BetterPress plates. I will have all of my supplies listed down below in the video description and over on my blog. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you again real soon.